Ross Ulbricht is free now, and this could really trigger a Bitcoin tsunami here. An absolute earthquake. Donald Trump is keeping his promise. Now he just has to keep his promise. Here, to elevate the US to Bitcoin or crypto, the likelihood of a strategic Bitcoin reserve is now skyrocketing. Donald Trump is the one who's making this happen right now, to push Bitcoin further up, because this is a massively important event for Bitcoin. Ross Ulbricht is a total Bitcoin OG. This is absolutely breaking news. I actually already recorded the whole video. Got it. But I still have to squeeze this part in here. So forgive me if I'm adding this part before the video I just mentioned. We'll take a look at that in a moment. What's really going on with Ross Ulbricht? But now I'm going to play the pre-recorded video for you, and then we'll get into it right after. Ross Ulbricht. Massive Bitcoin turnaround at the SEC, the regulatory agency in the U.S. A crypto task force is being set up here, and this is obviously super bullish for the Bitcoin price. Let's freaking go. Crypto advocate Hester Peirce will be leading the whole thing. Additionally, Republican Senator Rand Paul reached out to Donald Trump in a letter to free Ross Ulbricht. And I'll say it again, if Ross Ulbricht gets released here, then the likelihood of a Bitcoin strategy reserve in the US is even higher. Executive orders regarding the strategic Bitcoin reserve are still not off the table. Off the table. That can still happen in the next few days. But the big deal here is the turnaround at the SEC, where we're seeing some major pro-Bitcoin regulation. And this will definitely give the Bitcoin price another boost. Because we've seen over the last 4 years that the regulation here wasn't optimal. And it looks like there's absolutely a 180-degree turnaround happening here. And here the regulation and the doors and the gates massively opened up. Now we're taking a look at all of this. As you can see, I'm here now. Back in paradise in El Salvador in Bitcoin land. It's really awesome to be back here. I was already super excited, and now I'm even more bullish. The first time I came to El Salvador, the Bitcoin price has risen to nearly 30,000. US dollar has risen. The second time I came to El Salvador, the Bitcoin price has risen to nearly 45,000. US dollar has risen. Now I'm back here for the third time in Bitcoin land. And now I'm really curious how far the Bitcoin price can rise here. If this pattern holds, then Bitcoin should be at least 60,000 here, higher in US dollars. Now here on my third visit, if we use the market indicator here, which is actually the only trading indicator that really works, then Bitcoin definitely needs to make another massive jump up here, as long as I'm here in El Salvador. Of course, that's not meant to be taken too seriously. You guys should really get that. No one can really definitely say where the Bitcoin price is headed in the future. The first thing we're going to look at now is the crypto task force here. And you can already see the dog is also super bullish here. Or how does it look? Yeah, he's super bullish. Definitely take a look. There's a report here, and they're already writing about it here. We love Hester Peirce, who is now massively opening the gates for regulation. Here comes SEC Crypto 2.0. It means here. Breaking news, the new SEC Chair Yetta announces the creation of a crypto task force. Under the leadership of Hester Peirce, the focus of the task force will be to help the Commission draw clear regulatory boundaries, to provide realistic government pathways, to develop meaningful disclosure frameworks, and to wisely allocate resources for enforcement. And here Hester Peirce says, I'm here for any help you need. I don't hesitate to ask myself. I appreciate your hard fight all these years. You deserve a lot of love. We are committed to going all in on Bitcoin. We want to invest in all crypto, not just Bitcoin. Investing in all crypto is wise. But in the end, this is definitely very good. Also for the Bitcoin price, I keep saying this over and over, you might not care that much about the regulation. If you're listed, regulatory certainty is key. If you're listed on the NASDAQ, the S&P 500, or something like that, then regulatory certainty is really, really important. And the first bit of regulatory certainty we had, that was back when we had the Bitcoin ETFs, when we got the green light from the Bitcoin ETFs. And now, basically, the second regulatory step that's coming up is obviously a crypto task force. There's already the whole crypto team around Donald Trump. But the task force is something even more intense. So it really has to be there for you now. A task force is being set up here. So it's an extra department that's just there to pump up the Bitcoin price. No, that's obviously an exaggeration. It's not about pumping up the Bitcoin price, but rather improving the regulation But the side effect of that, the side effect of better regulation, is obviously that Bitcoin is going to the moon. That means everyone who owns Bitcoin right now will most likely be affected by this regulation, even though he might not even be based in the USA. But indirectly, it will basically give the green light to the outside. And here, then basically give investors more opportunities and more security to invest in Bitcoin. And that also means rising Bitcoin prices. We now have the huge news from Donald Trump, personally, who is pardoning Ross Ulbricht. He has already pardoned several people. And there was a leak from the Washington Post or New York Post on the same day. I think it was her who said that Ross Ulbricht is going to be released. I had included that in my previous video, but I deleted it again because it obviously doesn't make any sense anymore. In hindsight, because Ross Ulbricht is already free. And here there's a very clear message from Donald Trump, which I'm actually going to read to you now. Because Donald Trump confirms that Donald Trump had apparently met with Ross Ulbricht's mother beforehand. Because the mother was also invited to the crypto ball hosted by Donald Trump, or rather, it wasn't a crypto ball, it was Donald Trump's New Year's Eve party. And then I said, hey, this can't be a coincidence, that Donald Trump and the mother are meeting here. And I clearly said, hey folks, this is a really big sign, that Ross Ulbricht is being pardoned, is being freed. And that is, in turn, a very, very good sign for Bitcoin and could also push the Bitcoin price massively up again, or give more confidence in the Trump administration and also in the whole Bitcoin plan from Donald Trump. He definitely writes here, I just called Ross's mother, William Ulbricht, to inform her that I, in honor of her and the libertarian movement that has supported me so strongly, with great pleasure, sign a full and unconditional pardon for her son, Ross. Wow, just take that in. I'm actually getting goosebumps. That's really crazy. The scum that worked to convict him belong to the same crazy people who are involved in the modern weaponization of the government against me today. He was sentenced to 2 life sentences plus 40 years. Ridiculous, and that's exactly how it is. And this is really the time to basically pump freedom forward, to pump Bitcoin forward. So this is really crazy. Now freedom is winning here, now Bitcoin is winning here, and now Ross Ulbricht is free again. And now we have a clear path upward. Now we just need Edward Snowden, now we just need Julian Assange. But I can imagine that the next ones are now on the list. And that's so massive for Bitcoin. And even if you say, hey, you don't want anything to do with Ross Ulbricht, or you just don't care, or whatever, it has an indirect influence on the Bitcoin price. I can tell you that right off the bat. That doesn't mean the Godzilla candle is coming right away. But this will definitely have a very, very positive effect on the sentiment around Bitcoin. And for me, this is definitely the news of the year so far. So incredible. Which I also really like is the general sentiment around Bitcoin, at least as of now, during this current recording of the video. It's probably going to be nighttime at some point. When you're sleeping or something, things can change really quickly right now. Then, for example, a report is coming out tomorrow. Donald Trump says, there is no strategic Bitcoin reserve. Then it could definitely be that when the video goes online, the Bitcoin price crashes down or something. But as it stands right now, the momentum on the Bitcoin side is really strong, even though there is no strategic Bitcoin reserve. And that's a massively good sign. That means the things happening right now, even behind the scenes and so on, are really, really good. Also, the SEC regulation with the new task force has been received very, very well by the market. That the Bitcoin price has gone up a bit. And now there was also a letter from Rand Paul here, Republican senator, who has also put pressure on Donald Trump, and also says, hey, let's finally get Ross out of prison. The time of censorship is basically over, where we just lock up random people here, who basically haven't done anything significant. There are way worse problems, like some people who are building Bitcoin platforms and really have nothing to do with drug dealing or anything. He just built a platform. Basically said, okay, do whatever you want. Sure, you can criticize that a bit, because that might be a bit reckless, who knows? Weapons or drug trafficking or something like that was promoted, whatever. But for sure, Ulbricht isn't the big drug lord or anything like that. There are way worse cases out there. There are always these kinds of reports, like here, where someone just writes something on Twitter, and it actually has, check this out, 200,000 views, where someone just writes, hey, Donald Trump is going to sign 3 executive orders. 3 Bitcoin executive orders here. And then he just writes down below. So he just has good sources here, that Donald Trump is going to sign 3 executive orders. So he just has good sources, that Donald Trump is going to sign 3 executive orders. And the 3 executive orders are already on the table. So apparently the strategic Bitcoin reserve, that would be the CEP 1.2.1. Regulation, the banking regulation. Then, wow, I don't know what else there is, but Something like that. That's probably the way it's going to go. And the question is, will everything come? If everything doesn't happen, you still can't know for sure. The likelihood is definitely still there. We just have to wait and see in the next few days. If you're watching this video, then it's already the second Donald Trump day here to be over. There's always the question, when do you call it a day? Do you call it a day at midnight? Or do you call it a day at 6 p.m. the next day? Because Donald Trump is here at 6 o'clock American time. So that's what's being put in place here. That's definitely a matter of definition. Because then people get into it when I say, yeah, nothing happened on the first day. About Ross Ulbricht, then people are writing in the comments below, yeah, the first day isn't even over yet. Because it goes until 6 p.m. the next day and so on. It's just a matter of definition here, how you define the day, you know. We still need to be a bit careful. I said this before. On Friday, the Bank of Japan is having its interest rate decision. So the Japanese central bank, and it's actually expected now, that the interest rates will be raised here. Zero Hedge also posted on X that the interest rates are likely to be raised here, and that could have negative effects on the carry trade. Here we have something that I'm not going to elaborate on again, but that ultimately means that the capital flows are shifting, and it's basically this. It could lead to international panics in the market. At least that was the case last time when the Japanese central bank raised the interest rate. That really led to massive upheavals here. And we need to keep an eye on that. If that's going to be the case again this time. Look, I just got to the beach. Let's fucking go. Look at the sun back there. Yeah, let's fucking go. Finally back here in paradise in El Salvador. Let's fucking go. I'm about to jump in the water because I know here in Paraguay it was always 40 degrees. You could never go in the water. And now I'm here in Alzawad. It almost feels like a winter wonderland here. Now, at a chilled 30 degrees if you come from 40 degrees. So it definitely feels almost cold here. But for sure, we were just in Japan, and that could still cause some issues this week. We need to keep an eye on that. The good thing is that the interest rate hikes are now basically announced, not the rate cuts, but the rate increases. Last time, the interest rate hikes were basically not announced. It was just random. And that's basically what's problematic for the market. When an interest rate hike just comes out of nowhere, the market is obviously taken aback at first. And that could mean that this time the interest rate hike might not be so bad. And it could also be that by Friday it's all over. Ulbricht is pardoned. By Friday we have executive orders. By Friday we have a strategic Bitcoin reserve. And when all this is happening, look back here. There are also two Germans here. Say hello. You guys are in our video, right? Bitcoin price prediction. It's back to 200K. 200,000. You said it. 150. Yep, 150. Okay, ultra bullish, ultra bullish. Definitely, right now the sentiment doesn't look too bad. Looks pretty good. I'm gonna put a link down here too. 21 Bitcoin. You just heard it. Price prediction 200,000, easy peasy. Of course, there's no date included, but let's just say this here. Here you can also save up to 20% on fees when buying Bitcoin at 21 bit. Coin with the code. Absolute recommendation. Save up to 20% on fees when buying Bitcoin. Absolutely recommend it. I just got this coconut that I'm about to dig into after fasting for several days. The coolest thing ever that you can do. Fasting for several days, mega cool. What happens then? And then breaking the fast with a coconut, it doesn't get any better than that. And now I even have a special message for you from the presidential palace of Nayib Bukele. Check it out. Check this out, I'm back in El Salvador, here, with Bukele and his wife. By the way, for those who are interested, here, you basically come into the airport and they have set up an altar here. This is where everyone takes their selfies. You can sit down here. Here you feel like a president. But actually, it's nothing special if you keep going here. It just keeps going here. Get out. Most people always think that when you take pictures like this, and here basically sharing with Bukele sitting in the big chair and so on, then you're invited by Bukele or something. That's not true at all. Here's the airport, and in between, they just built an altar like that.
It's